Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to Cryptic Corner, where we explore the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal, and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. And I am your host, Miss Bumblebee, and happy to bring you some more fun cryptozoology today. Because today we do have a cryptid on the docket. And it's probably one that you're vaguely familiar with, but you've never really explored. This is kind of how I am about it. It's like a Mothman light kind of a situation. What I'm talking about today is is a cryptid is mostly from Cornwall, but there's other versions of it from other places too. Uh, Why does this say British falconry? Is that really what it's going to show? There we go. All right, so we're looking at the Owlman, right? Now, the Owlman is, the sightings are sort of along the lines of a Mothman-like sighting. But the cool thing about the Owlman is that there was this movie made I think it was the early 2000s called The Lord of Tears that had a really cool Owlman suit, and they used it to do a bunch of pranks after they made the movie. Let me actually, how about we can watch the trailer for it, as a matter of fact. I bet we can. It was, you can watch the full movie, actually. You can watch Lord of Tears from start to finish right here. Who would have thought? But they do different pranks and stuff with it, but let's watch the trailer real quick. Is that Haxon? Did I say Haxon Films? Oh no, Hex Films. Haxon Films was who made Blair Witch. That music's probably copyrighted. Maybe not though. Ooh, I'm gonna sing over the music just so it doesn't, it doesn't make a copyright claim. Bree's gonna sing over the music. Gonna sing, sing, sing. Oh no, what is that? What is that? Oh no, it's the Owlman. Is it the Owlman? This is, the Owlman. No. So it's like a, British film. I guess it's probably like the British version of Blair Witch, maybe. And just keep talking over the music so that it doesn't register. The Owlman lives. Huh. There's the Owlman. Yeah, so you can tell the era this is from the graphics and stuff that they're using. This was like 2011 or so, I think it said. Yeah, anyway, 2013. So, yeah. Anyway, but we're going to watch about the Owlman.
Two young sisters walk down a quiet, overgrown lane.
All right.
Talking and laughing to one another, enjoying their holiday in the countryside. The sky is red and darkening as the summer sun begins to set. Suddenly, the birds stop singing, and an eerie quiet falls over the woods. One of them gasps in horror as they look up to the tower of the old weathered church that stands before them. There, hovering with terribly long wings outstretched, is neither man nor bird, but a grotesque hybrid.
You can do that, do both those things, Sumami. You can rant about intersectional issues while playing video games.
Of the two, staring at them with glowing red eyes and a huge, gaping black mouth. Their screams pierce the silence as the being flaps its great wings. The two turn and sprint with all their might back down towards the town. Sobbing and out of breath, they reach their parents, and whilst the shaking girls are clasped tightly in their mother and father's arms, the
Ooh, you're seeing new birds, huh? Actually, we have been getting a lot of new critters around this area lately. We got armadillos too.
hoot of an owl rings out in the distance. The story of the Owlman of Mornon first came to public attention when Tony Shields, an artist, magician, and writer, said that he had spoken to these two young sisters.
Like, I just want to take a moment here to, like, they're trying to make them scary and stuff, but owls are just freaking adorable to me. I mean, I know not everybody has the same opinions about what animals are cute, and I have probably less in common with a lot of people as far as what I think is cute, but I think a general number of people find owls adorable, so it's kind of crazy that people try to present them as something scary.
June and Vicky Melling had encountered the Owlman in Mornon on the evening of April
My coffee just arrived. I'll be right back. I'm gonna let this play while I'm running to get it.
17th, 1976. As the story goes, the two girls were on holiday there, and they went for a walk to the church that lies out of the way on an old remote road. The church sits on the coast and is surrounded by woods, a ways out of the village. It was there that they saw the terrible creature staring at them and hovering over the church tower. When they ran back to their parents in the village,
Oh, you do not show a picture like this and say, terrible creature, what are you doing? It's so cute. I want to die. It's so cute. What a terrible creature.
they were terrified, describing that they had seen a feathered birdman, one even describing the creature as an owlman or birdman. The girls were so scared by this experience.
If I had to speculate, I'd say they saw an eagle owl that was nesting up in the tower, or attempting to nest up in the tower, or maybe even a young eagle owl that was getting its flight feathers and hadn't quite left the nest yet. Because you see baby owls, they look pretty creepy. Oh.
That their father decided to cut their holiday short, and they soon returned home, as the girls were traumatized by the incident. 3 months later, two girls were camping in the same woods. Barbara Perry and Sally Chapman, both 14 at the time, told that in the night...
I gotta show you guys, because we can't not look at this. Every time that this comes up, we gotta look at it. So here, check them out. In all their strangeness. Like, it looks like little aliens just standing up in your alley, or in your attic. Just, yeah, owls are bizarre looking creatures. There's, there was a longer one, but I like these ones where they're like, boop, 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 boop. But they're cute. Who thinks that owls are scary? It's so weird. I guess this is kind of scary. That's kind of freaky and uncanny. Right, let's go back.
They had both just left the tent when they heard a terrible hissing sound behind them. They turned to see the terrible creature that Sally described as, it was like a big owl with pointed ears, as big as a man with red and glowing eyes. It was almost like something out of a horror film. She even claimed that they had both laughed at it initially, for she thought that it was someone in costume for a few moments, until it flew up into the air and they both screamed, which was when they both saw its feet that she described were like pincers. Barbara
Well, I mean,
also
that's probably how a good way to describe owl feet, really. They have that, what's the foot arrangement for an owl called? Zygodactyl? Owl foot arrangement. It is called anisodactyly. So it's, no, it says, okay. The arrangement of an owl's feet is called zygodactyly, which means that 2 of the toes face forward and 2 face backwards. So they have 2, it's basically boxed. Parrots have feet like that too. Really convenient for moving like around in the branches, because that's what owls, generally owls sit and they prey on, mostly on very small stuff, stuff that they can take back up to the branches, and then they have really powerful feet for holding on to it. But let's see, footing. Owls have unique feet, so it's a unique type of zygodactyly called an ensiodactyl arrangement. Okay, that makes more sense. So zygodactyly just means that you have toes that point backwards. Yeah, you don't want to mess with no shoebill. Don't mess with them shoebills. They will wreck you. Oh, yeah.
described the creature. It had a horrible, nasty owl face with big ears.
Why is owls horrible and nasty? They're so cute. Just be nice.
And big red eyes, covered in greyish feathers, with black claws for feet. The creature flew up into the trees, and we didn't see it again, but we heard it scurrying about in the treetops, cracking branches. After this had happened, the girls had hesitantly contacted Tony Shields with their story, as by now most were aware of his involvement with documenting the Melling sisters' encounter in April. Because of this, their credibility is questioned, and many thought that they had made it up, even their own parents, even Shields himself. However, he did have all of the witnesses draw images of what they had seen.
It's all going to be owls, right? I mean, it's just owls. This doesn't... Nothing they've described so far doesn't sound like something like someone seeing an owl and exaggerating what it looked like. You want owl feet? I don't know, native atheists. They have an owl feet. Yeah, unless you were like living in the trees, on the ground. I don't think owl feet are the best. But then again, somebody's in here telling me roadrunners have zygodactyl feet, which I did not know. Makes sense. They'd have at least one toe pointed backwards, just because of their lineage. But for cursorial locomotion, zygodactyly is not the best.
But you can see here now. The Melling sisters in April, and the 2 girls camping in July, all produced eerily similar pictures. Barbara Perry and Sally Chapman were even
Hold on. I want to look at this picture.
Barbara Perry
No.
all produced eerily.
Okay. Let's look at these pictures. Okay, so this one, Birdman, based on sketches. Are these sketches, or are they based on the sketches? Because it's getting mixed messages here. Yeah, I don't know how any of these could be interpreted as... I guess they literally mean like crab pincers for feet, like just with like 2. I mean, I guess.
Similar pictures.
Later, John.
Barbara Perry and Sally Chapman were even separated so that they would not influence one another when drawing their sketches of the creature. One thing that I find unnerving.
Why do they find the? Why could anybody be disturbed by this adorable little boopable face? He spins around like that. I want to go boop. These little owl eyes, those gorgeous amber eyes.
Is that the sketches show that the creature doesn't have a beak like an owl would, but instead a large, gaping black mouth.
Did it?
Under her drawing, Sally made a note that said, "I saw this monster bird last night. It stood like a man, then it flew up through the trees. It is as big as a man. Its eyes are red and shine brightly."
So, let's see, we're at 606. I just want to go back to the drawing, because I don't think that they look like that. That looks like a beak to me. That one does, definitely, in my opinion. Now, these two, yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Here we go.
4th of July, 1976. Similarly, under her drawing, Barbara also wrote, "Birdman monster, seen on the 3rd of July, quite late at night, but not quite dark. Red eyes, black mouth. It was very big, with great big wings, and black claws. Feathers, grey. Signed B. Perry, 4th of July, 1976. Interestingly, in all the...
So I just want to make it clear, too, that we know that, I know that they're saying it just had a black mouth, but eagle owls have a black beak. You know, let me keep stopping for intervention, but here's, these are eagle owls, right? This is the Eurasian eagle owl. And this is their threat pose. This is what they do when they feel like someone's messing with them. And they will also shriek and hiss. It's to intimidate, obviously. And as you can see, the idea of an owlman could easily be spun from seeing one of these creatures, especially with in low light conditions, perched on a stump or somewhere mid-height in a tree where it looks like it was at man height. Because eagle owls, though they're big, they're not like 5 foot tall or anything. They're big birds, but they're not like literally man size. There aren't any birds of prey that are man size, not anymore. There were. Talk about that in a second too.
encounters, the creature is described as standing like a man on the ground, and not perched as a normal large owl would have been, on a branch or a log. Tony Shields' credibility is questioned by many. However, there have been a number of other sightings of the Owlman, not documented by him. A local story tells that a group of 3 young French women, who were studying nearby at Cornwall College, had told their landlady that they had seen a similar creature on the evening of August 2nd, 2 years after the initial event, in 1978. However, they refused to come forward with the story, and remain to this day anonymous. In 1995...
Well, I mean, it's hard to account for that if they're anonymous, right? And they just say they saw a similar creature. We don't know the nature of their sighting, so when they describe what they saw, it may very well be just describing an owl. Which so far has been... I haven't heard anything other than this, than saying it's bigger than a regular owl and that it was standing on the ground instead of in the tree. That's the only owl-like things that I've heard so far.
20 years later, Western Morning News was contacted by an American tourist who claimed to have seen a creature that she described as it had a ghastly face, a wide mouth, glowing eyes, pointed ears, and clawed wings. There have been a number of other owlman sightings in the nearby areas.
There's a new addition, clawed wings. We didn't hear that before. So now we have clawed wings. The clawed wings here on 814. Let's look back into the drawings. think they did have some like fingertips or something, didn't they? This one had some fingertips. Here's the one with all three of the drawings together. This one does not have fingertips. I mean, unless you call these these fringes on the end of the wings fingertips, but the this one's kind of the same condition.
Nearby areas. However, many refuse to come forward publicly with their stories for fear of scrutiny or mockery. Some 50 years earlier, there are reports
and that's always the thing too. It's like, oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of people who've seen it and know it's real and have witnessed it and believe us. They just don't want to come forward. There's just always a mysterious unnamed support group that is behind all these claims. It's so funny.
In a newspaper of a strange story. The Cornish Echo reported on the 4th of June 1926. A story in which 2 young boys had been chased by a huge, ferocious bird, only escaping by running away and hiding behind a large steel grating. The article was titled, "Boys Attacked by Strange Bird. Unpleasant Experience Near Porthtowan." The article described that the boys saw a strange fluttering thing situated on a mine burrow. They approached and investigated what looked like a huge...
Did she say mind burrow? I don't know. Can somebody tell me what that is? Is there a closed caption? Okay. Let's see. Maybe it'll tell us what it is. Situated on a mine? Oh, mine like a mine. Okay,
they approached
mine.
and investigated.
Like a mine. I thought she said Mindbura. Like Mindbura. I was like, what's a Mindbura? It's mine burrow.
What looked like a huge dead bird. But as they did so, it sprang up and attacked them. They ran and eventually managed to escape. However, this article makes no mention of the creature being a birdman. And it may well have just been a large, hostile bird.
Sounds like it.
That's the main theory surrounding the Owlman legend. That there was simply a larger-than-average owl that lived in the church tower in Mornan and the surrounding woods. Because of its size and the large wingspan that owls can have, a large bird may have been mistaken for an owl and human hybrid. However, the witnesses gave quite detailed descriptions.
Sorry, my phone was going off. I wanted to make sure to silence it so it stopped buzzing.
And the creature is described specifically as standing like a man. Unlike
that's the thing. How else does a bird stand? A bird stands on 2 legs like a man. I mean, that's a thing. The birds do. How else is a bird supposed to stand? Like a cow?
Posture that a normal owl would adopt. The creature is also described as being the size of a man when standing, which is quite unattainable for any normal owl. And having glowing eyes, and instead of a beak, a huge gaping mouth.
I don't know if that's what's consistent with the story. I don't know that they say instead of a beak. A beak has a mouth on it, and if it opens it, then it's a gaping mouth, but it still has a beak.
Whatever inspired the legend, I can assure you that I'll be taking care when venturing by any churches or through the woods at night.
I don't think we're...
You never know when the Owlman may be watching, perched high up above in the trees.
Now, I'm not all that worried about about owls or any kind of bird.
I'd like to take a moment.
Or any bird of prey, for that matter, snagging me. Now, in the past, there were giant birds of prey. And we're just going to watch this video about giant owls real quick.
Hello, and welcome back to my channel. This is Hodari, the world's properest and most wisest paleo artist. Wise as in an owl, which is the animal I'm gonna be painting today. But it is not any owl. This is a creature that is half mythology and half reality. And perhaps no bird has captured human imagination as the owl. It's got that apparently wide and flat face and those huge front-facing eyes. It kind of reminds us of ourselves a little bit, but at the same time it is an alien creature, a silent predator of the night, long associated with witchcraft, spirits, ghosts, you name it. It is active during the night when we are sleeping, and in short, it just doesn't look like any other kind of bird. So it really shouldn't be surprising that the owl has been inspiring artists since prehistoric times. This is one of the earliest examples.
You say it's not like any other kind of birds now. You're a paleo artist, so I don't know if you know how a lot of other birds from other countries, but the frogmouths are very owl-like in their appearance. Uniquely evolved independently to fill the same sort of night predator niche, but frogmouths, they do have some other distinct characteristics as well. They have like fringy stuff on their faces, but yeah, they do the same kind of stuff that owls do.
We know of a depiction of an owl. It was found in France, and it is believed to have been etched on rock 30,000 years ago.
It is wise to have care near churches anyway. Dangerous predators live there. You ain't kidding, Ember.
Or more. You can clearly see that the artist was impressed by the owl's ability to rotate its head 270 degrees on any direction to compensate for the eyes being so big that they cannot move within their sockets. One of many adaptations that have made owls both fascinating and a little bit eerie to humans. Throughout history, owls have inspired all sorts of superstition. The ancient Greeks and Romans, for example, believed in the strix, a kind of giant grey-winged bird with front-facing staring eyes and a taste for human flesh, particularly that of children.
I don't know, owls were ever big enough to prey on humans, though, because owls have, if you look at an owl's face, you'll notice that its beak is really small in comparison to like other predatory birds, other raptors or birds of prey. There's less. Raptor, by the way, doesn't really mean anything. Clint's Reptiles did a great video on that, but raptors exist all over the place. They're not a clade. Some raptors, like falcons, we'll talk about that in a minute. Actually, we got falconry coming up later in the show, so stick a pin in it.
And this is eerily similar to the stories of giant man-eating owls found all across North America. From the Choctaw to the Apache to the Nahua people in Mexico, indigenous people had plenty of stories about giant monsters that looked like owls and preyed on humans. And usually, children were also its preferred victims. We have to wonder then, where do all these stories about man-eating owls come from? Now, some could argue that owls are strange enough in their own right to inspire all of these superstitions.
I mean, you don't have to wonder where it came from. I don't think. You can be like, well, owls are predators, and we see owls grab things like rabbits, and squirrels, and mice, and even things up to as large as like a fox or a cat, right? And you're like, good thing that owl's not big enough to grab me up. And someone's like, I'm gonna tell a story about an owl that was big enough to grab someone up.
But what if there is more to the story? In the 1970s, paleontologist Alexander Wetmore described a series of bones found at Lads, Georgia in the southern United States. Among those fossils were those of a bird that still exists today but is no longer found in that region. It is a pheasant-like bird known as the spruce grouse, today found in the northernmost United States and in Canada, so its presence at Lads suggests that these fossils come from the late Pleistocene during a glacial period. In other words, these are Ice Age fossils.
Right.
And alongside with the spruce grouse fossils, there were also those of an owl. This owl could not be classified as any living species for one very simple reason: it was way too big. Bigger in fact than any modern day owl species, and that is saying a lot. The largest owls of our day, such as the Eurasian eagle owl or the Blackiston's fish owl, can reach a wingspan of about 2 meters or 6.5 feet. These are already pretty formidable predators, but
huge bird. You see this coming at you, you're gonna think you just saw like the biggest bird that has ever existed. They're huge.
Even they would have been dwarfed by the Ice Age owl. Now, unfortunately, those fossils are very fragmentary, and to my knowledge, they have not been formally described. But there are some things that we can infer from the fossils. For example, they appear to come from something similar to the wood owls of genus Strix. Yes, they were named after the Greek and Roman mythological creature. So we can at least attempt a reconstruction of this prehistoric owl. Modern-day Strix owls lack the ear tufts or horns of other kinds of owls, and they have bark-like plumage to camouflage themselves among trees during the day. Most of them are nocturnal, and they feed on any small animal that they can overpower, but at such size, our owl may have been preying on larger animals. The Ice Age owl would have been the nocturnal equivalent of a large eagle, so let's imagine it hunting one of the larger animals that lived alongside it. At the same sites, the fossils of a long-nosed peccary known as Milohyus have been found.
So, peccaries are like javelinas. They're pig-like animals. They're smaller generally than suids, and tend to be a little bit more furrier. There's other differences too, but this is the main thing. And also, peccaries are like 45% head. They have a lot of head. Their head is huge, but I definitely could see even modern owls preying on baby peccaries or baby suids. Even they're grabby size.
Now, there's no denying that Milohyus would have been a very dangerous animal to attack, but let's just go crazy with it. Perhaps juvenile Milohyus, and those that were weakened for some reason, would have been a target for the giant owl. Thanks to special feathers on its wings, the giant owl would have been able to swoop down on prey completely undetected because of how silent it was, and its giant talons would have been bigger than the hand of a man.
Yeah.
Large owls today are said to have a grip equivalent to the bite force of a large dog, so imagine the damage that a giant owl could do to prey with those huge talons. Now, our giant owl is taking a huge risk by attacking this Milohyus. For starters,
I'm gonna say right now that that suids and artiodactyls in general are not a regular prey for owls. Any species of owls. They're generally a rodent and lagomorph specialists.
They are among the animals that are known to return and help their fallen comrades. And at 70 kilograms, Milohyus was in the same size range as an adult human being, too heavy for even a giant owl to fly away with. Modern birds of prey, however, are known to hunt prey much bigger than they can carry. They just have to
Modern birds of prey, but not owls. Not owls, though.
On the ground. The owl's best bet would be to kill the Milohyus very quickly and then fly away until the herd leaves. Interestingly, Lats, Georgia is not the only place in mainland North America where the remains of giant owls have been found. In the Mexican state of Nuevo León, there is a fossil site known as Cueva de San Josecito, which has yielded the remains of many Ice Age animals, including some that are no longer found in Mexico today, such as marmots or even lemmings. And amongst them there were also the remains of owls, bigger than any known from the region today. It seems likely to me that giant owls may have been an important element of the Ice Age faunas in mainland North America, one that has yet to be described scientifically. The first humans to arrive to the continent would have found its forests haunted by these formidable nocturnal predators. And it makes a lot of sense to me that the owls would target primarily children whenever they attacked humans, simply...
I don't think they would attack humans at all. Owls eats things that are smaller than them. Their body's just built for it. They eat, like I said, rabbits, rodents especially though, mice, things that they can eat in one bite, they can swallow down in one gulp. That's an owl's bread and butter. I mean, it'd take a huge owl to be able to swallow down even the smallest human child in one gulp.
Because of their smaller size. But just like Milohyus, humans were not very keen to see their children devoured. Here's the interesting part. Some of the folklore from indigenous North Americans, such as the Chiricahua people, actually speak of the giant owl monster as a creature of the past, and they say that their ancestors had to exterminate it before the land could be safe for their descendants. So this may be a cultural memory of the times in which their ancestors actually coexisted with a prehistoric giant owl. Many Ice Age creatures may have been exterminated by humans because they were overhunted for food, but the giant owl may have been a case in which it was actively persecuted because of the danger it posed. Understandable, but still tragic, because it would have been such a spectacular sight.
I hope not, but even so, when it comes to predatory megafauna, it wasn't always that they were a threat directly to us. Because, I mean, we humans had lived with, like, lions and stuff in Africa for millions of years at that point. It was that we would hunt their prey to extinction, or that we would alter the landscape and the climate to a point where they could no longer thrive in the environment.
And so we get to the end of this video. Now there is more to be said about giant prehistoric owls, but I think I will leave that for later. For now, leave me a comment, tell me if you believe that the giant Ice Age owl may have been a thing, and whether there are superstitions about owls where you live. Until next time, never lose that sense of wonder.
So there definitely were giant Ice Age owls, including ones like the Cuban owl. Let me try to pronounce this name. Ornamegalonyx otroi. Which, yeah, look, is pretty big. If it is probably about as close as to a man-sized owl as you're going to get. God, I hate the color on this scheme on this. Cannot read it. Let's see. The Cuban owl, or giant cursorial owl, is an extinct genus of giant owl that measured 1.1 meters in height. It is the closest related species to the many species of living owl in the genus Strix. It was flightless or nearly flightless bird, and it is believed to be the largest owl that ever existed. It lived on the island of Cuba, which is adjacent to North America, which means this species is a good candidate for a close relative to the owl that they just discussed from Georgia. You know, just geographically speaking, there's a good probability that they're going to be closely related. But it's not the only place with giant owls. There's giant owls all over the place. At least in the Americas. West of the Mississippi, from Canada to Central America, live the burrowing owls. These small, brownish tan colored owls with bright yellow eyes are the only raptors in North America that live underground in burrows. They dig themselves or usurp from ground squirrels or tortoises. In open habitats like grasslands and deserts, they eat rodents, bugs. Standing about 10 inches high with a wingspan of maybe 2 feet and weighing around 7 ounces, the burrowing owl is slightly larger than the American robin. The extinct giant Cuban owl resembles the burrowing owl in shape, but stood 3 foot 7 inches tall and weighed about 20 pounds. Its relatively small wings probably made it flightless. Ornamegalonyx, the scientific name for the largest owl that ever existed, means bird with big claws. Strutting around the forested island of Cuba until it died around 6,000 years ago. The giant owl hunted animals as large as a stocky Caribbean rodent and small capybara, the largest living rodent. Like other ground-dwelling birds, the Cuban giant owl was probably a good runner, and is very likely it ran its quarry down before dispatching it with its powerful talons and beak. Osseo ecuadoriensis, another ancient owl who lives in Ecuador up until around 10,000 years ago, it was more than 2 foot 3 inches tall, with a wingspan of about 5 feet. A cave dweller, the Ecuadorian owl was unusual in that it ate not only an unusual diet of rodent rabbits, but other owls, appearing to be an owl eating specialist. So this is the Ecuadorian cannibal owl. It's extinct, though, unfortunately, so we don't get to know more about its ecology. I am sure you are all familiar with the extant barn owl, Tyto alba, one of the most widely distributed species of owl in the world. One of the most widespread of all the species of birds, subdivided into 28 species. The barn owl is found almost everywhere except the polar and desert regions, Asia, north of the Himalayas, and most of Indonesia, and most of the Pacific Islands. For the scientifically curious, there's an interesting paper about the evolution and diversification of barn owls you can read. About 30 to 10,000 years ago, There were also giant barnhouse, about twice the size of today's species. Tyto robusta and Tyto gigantea lived on Monte Gargano, an island when the sea levels were higher 20 million years ago, and now part of Italy. Tyto robusta was a bit smaller than Tyto gigantea, but they ate different sizes of small mammal prey and were able to coexist. That's just an example of the two species. There was also the giant scops owl, Otis muravorus. Otis muravorus. Okay, I said it right, I think. On Rodriguez Island in southwestern Indian Ocean, which went extinct in the late 18th century, so fairly recently in the Rodriguez Island. Note that most of these large birds lived on islands or in isolated habitats. It's easier for birds to get big on islands than large mammals without mammalian predators. Birds take their place and grow large and predatory and are often flightless. The lack of large predators on islands has led to interesting and even bizarre adaptations of bird forms, besides giant owls such as the kiwi, kakapo, and moa of New Zealand, the dodo of Mauritius, and one of my favorites, the kagu of New Caledonia. Problems arise when mammalian predators such as dog, cats, and humans colonize the islands and decimate the birds, which have no defense against invaders. All right, so giant owls and owlmen and all that.
Did the evolutionist?
No. Giant owls and owlmen and all that stuff are evident, right? Or not owlmen necessarily, but giant owls are definitely evident in the fossil record, right? We know that they existed at one point in time. Now, as far as what people are seeing of Owlman in England, they're seeing a giant eagle owl. I say giant. I mean, when I say giant, I mean like a exceptionally large one, or one that's making them feel like it's exceptionally large by being super intimidating and getting all up in their business. But I mean, if you believe that the Owlman of Monway was a real thing, you definitely feel free to provide your evidence down below. I will anticipate that. But everyone else, please remember to be kind and take care, and we will see you next time.